Okay, wait. All right. Hold on. We're live. Well, we're sort of live. So this is my rain sounds, and then
Very good. Very good.
okay, guys, ready? Ready? Wait. One more. One more. Let's see if we can hear this.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear it. Very good. Yeah, it is just like 8:15 on many other nights.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but no, it's not one of those nights. It's 3:15 on a Saturday day in New York, and it is 8:15.
8:15.
Hey, Leanie. Leanie's on.
Hi, Lenny.
So, yeah, so why don't you introduce yourself and say where you are, who you
Yeah,
are?
I'm Colin, and I'm in London, and it's quite humid and hot in London. So it's been a long, hot, lazy day.
How's it?
Oh yeah.
So you don't have air conditioning, is that right?
We're looking into it at the minute because the last couple of years it's been so bad. I mean, it's only 29 today, I think, but we didn't sleep well last night, and it's just getting harder. And I know it's going to get worse again. So we're just looking to get some sort of portable air conditioning thing that you can get a fixture for the window and stick it out there. But yeah, that's the next thing on my agenda for tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, so we all have to go back to real lives where we belong. Pete Schoen says I'm going through withdrawal. So why don't we just dive in? First of all, I also want to say so I'm Arusha. I do Push a Cure fan documentary, which is a long form ongoing evolution of a project I started in 1999 2000 where I just wanted to make a little movie. 23 years later, I still don't have the money to make like a movie, but instead I do this. And so being a part of a community and being a community of Cure fans, because for me it was following the Cure and realizing this whole world was open up to me was a big part of it. So Colin, will you tell the people what you do? What's your channel? What's your online thing?
I did an Instagram thing called The Cure on this day, and I basically look at what happened on it a certain day and try and I write something up about it and try and find either a video or some pictures that go with it and put it out on Instagram. And also in Riga last year, I live streamed for the first time. We ended up having over 1,200 people watching at the same time,
A
and we got
thousand?
wow, yeah, it went nuts. I was holding the phone, going, "What? I'd never done it before." It was just like because it was the first night of the tour, and I didn't do the whole gig because I wanted to enjoy myself. So I think I did the first 8 songs, maybe or 5 or 6 songs, and I got up to 1,200. And I think somebody immediately put it on YouTube, and then the NME and Rolling Stone and different other outlets had it the next day as well. So yeah,
Wait, your live stream?
yeah. Someone
Shoot. I didn't realize you were on the cover of the Rolling Stone, man. That's
I
cool.
was a bit annoyed because I don't know who it was. It was some guy in Mexico. He didn't even credit me on it, and it was his YouTube things that were shared on Consequence of Sound and NME and Rolling Stone and stuff. But
Yeah. So I'm gonna say hi to because Colm can't see the chat. I don't think. I don't know how to do that yet. Right? You can't see
I
the
could,
chat.
I could probably watch it on this.
Yeah. Why don't you? Yeah. Pull it up on YouTube. So we have Leanies here, who you met um, on that Riga day, and have a birthday. And Dom is here, and Katie's here, and I'm Merrick Gouret. I'm gonna butcher your name, but we have a lot we can talk about, but I guess the first thing I want to well, God, I just got inspired by what you just said, but I want to kind of talk about this withdrawal thing, because earlier today when Coleman and I were like, okay, what are we going to talk about? We were kind of doing a little bit of prep, or maybe it was even yesterday. I kind of felt like you were like, I don't know, I'm just going about my business. Whereas for me, I'm I'm sort of having like two sides of a very conflicted coin, which I'll get to. But do you want to say like, you know, you were in Riga, you did Europe, and then you went to the States, and are you having withdrawals, or are you just back to thinking about air conditioning?
I'm back to thinking about air conditioning and work. I had 3 weeks off. I'm not going to complain because I had a great time going from Chicago to Montreal. I met some brilliant people along the way. We saw some brilliant shows, some very memorable shows. Saw places I'd never would have seen otherwise. And obviously the European part of it was fantastic as well. I don't think anything would beat Riga because it was just so much fun. But yeah, I saw 19 shows, which some people might think is a stupid amount, and other people go, oh, only 19. I don't know. Depends who you speak to, but I was satisfied by that. I had a really brilliant time. I went to lots of places in Europe I hadn't been, and obviously I'd never been to Chicago, never been to Ohio, never been to Detroit, never been to Montreal. I've met so many people along the way, both in Europe and America. So I'm really satisfied, and I don't know. I think it'd be weird to say I'm having withdrawal symptoms. I just had a really good time, and yeah.
Well, I think that you can, you know, anytime, like even when I used to work on film sets all the time, I would work every day at this thing, and every morning at 7 a.m. I would get up and I would do the thing, and I would go to the thing and do the other thing, and then when it was over, even if I was complaining about it, or because on a film set it's different than a normal job. It's like it's a time and a place, and it's never going to happen again, and those same people are never going to happen again. So I completely relate to the withdrawal, because you get into a routine. Like it's number one, like I always say, it's the music, right? That is why we're here. Number one is the music. Number two, I would say, then is the community and the travel and the experience. And so even then, get up in the car, go to the train, and then again, like 8:15, ding, 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 the Cure on. Or no matter how you feel about Twilight Sad, it's like, for me, I was like Pavlov's dog. I was like, okay, I have like, either I'm going to see the sad, or I have time to go to the bathroom and get a pretzel. You know, like, so then it's just gone. And I know that for some people, like I'm wondering, Calm, just because you and I spoke after the European shows, and I remember a couple of things you said. You said, "Wow, I never really." You said something to the effect of like, "I didn't think it would be so awesome in the ways that it was awesome," and
Yeah.
You wanted to come back specifically because of Alone and End, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess I did have withdrawal for that after Europe. I, I, I just thought those two songs were so amazing, and especially Alone. Yeah, they just blew me away so much. And I think I listened to them so much. Yeah, I mean, I listened to them so much, enjoyed the gigs so much, enjoyed the build up to the shows. You were joking at the start with the thunder and the lightning and all that sort of thing. That the whole yeah, exactly. The amount of detail and care put into walking into that environment, and actually the build up to the show with the rain and everything. It is just fantastic, and I had such a good time. It actually matched what you said. I felt it difficult to feel that I wouldn't walk into a venue again with that sort of feel, with the rain going and the thunder going, knowing you're going to get alone, knowing you're going to see a brilliant show with so many friends and stuff. And that's why I had to go and see more shows. but I do feel sort of sated. Is that the right word? I do feel a bit more okay this time. Maybe it'll hit me a bit later. I think I go over the top when it's a build up to these shows and over listen to the other shows and really gorge on stuff. And so by the time these things usually end, I usually just need a break from it for a while, which is probably how I'm feeling at the minute because it has only been a couple of weeks. But.
Right. Right. Like I almost feel like I haven't even recovered from Europe yet. I mean, really, like that was the whole thing of like it happening in May and June, and it's been fantastic, and I'm in some ways, exceedingly happy for the people that got to see The Cure for the first time in any country. I'm exceedingly happy that there is a chance. I mean, we have to remember that a year ago we were still kind of in COVID, like, is this even going to happen time, right?
Yeah. Okay, I guess that's why a lot of it did feel even luckier. I mean, like me and Klaus, who I go to most of the shows with, I go to all the shows with, not all, most of them in Europe. We were joking beforehand that we hoped that there weren't going to be too many songs from the new album. And it turned out when it only played 2 in Riga, and we were both after it, like, oh my god, that's incredible. And we were very lucky because we were in Krakow as well when they played the song about his brother for the first time, and that show and the disintegration that followed that were just jaw-droppingly good. Yeah, sorry, I've lost my train of thought. What did you say before that?
Oh, I don't even remember. It's too hot. But the other thing is the difference between let's just go with that. Like the difference between seeing going on tour during the summer and the winter. Like that was another. There was a lot of differences for me between Europe and the U.S. Number one was the weather, and as benign and banal as that sounds, it did make a fucking difference because in Europe, a lot of times we were queuing to get into the front. I don't know about you, but I was there in, super, super cold.
I'd never do that. I'd always be in the pub waiting for it to be open.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, it's everyone has a different routine. I know a lot of people who want to be down the front. We're quite happy halfway down the back, and obviously it's a different experience in Europe because you can just walk in and find somewhere to stand. Other than the Paris show in 2019, where you couldn't just walk down, it was like a wall of bodies and you couldn't get through it. Normally, you can walk you around the halfway point. I'm 6'3", so I try and stay at the sides to try and not be in people's way as well. But the last night in Wembley, we were at the very back of the stand, and we were really happy there.
Yeah.
We were all just dancing about and having a good laugh. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of great comments coming in. Let me see. So, hello to Micah, Siciliana, Katie, Project Louder. Arusha, she says, Arusha, which shows did you attend in Europe? Oh my God, I did a lot. I did like 20, and what happens to me with Cure shows is I'm always like, I'm not going anymore. Like right now, I'm telling myself Miami's my last Cure show. I'm done. And then I'm like, well, maybe I can just go to this, and then maybe I just want to go to that, and then all of a sudden it's like a thing. And Tomi is here. Leanie is here. Project Louder says maybe the fact that there was so much going on social media, crew, band members, fans, making withdrawal systems worse because even when one was at home, we somehow felt that they were connected to the tour, and that's also a thing that I think is for some people, like ironically, The Cure on this day. I know that you had some people helping you live stream, and that meant so much to people because whether it's a whole show or an hour or a minute, there are people that are financially they can't do it, family member matters they can't do it, people who are afraid to live their, and I'm not saying this out of shame, but I sort of feel like my job is be a voice for like, be your own person, do your own thing, whatever that means to you. If you want to go to 19 Cure shows, like you said, some people are going to be like, what? That's crazy. And other people are going to be like, 19, that's nothing.
Yeah, no, it was good sharing those shows, and through Europe, it was like, oh wow, Reeve's wife's watching, oh Perry's wife's watching, oh Simon's kids are watching, and then Lainey did even better than me because she has a stronger arm. I think she was able to hold the camera up for the whole 2.5, 2 3/4 hours. Well, it wasn't just that. I always needed to go to the bar, go to the toilet as well. Plus, I don't know. Yeah, no, she was definitely had more willpower than I had to get through those, but it was good sharing it. But the other thing that you did say is that the main thing is about the music, and we've covered a lot of the music, and the second thing is the community. I went to shows on and off for years, and then I met people in Paris in 2008, which then led me to meet more people and more people and more people. And now you're right. When you use the term community, it really is. I mean, like I've now got friends like yourself, Leanie, many other people in the States, as well as people all across Europe, and then especially in England and Ireland, I guess, as well. But that's one of the most important things for me is the experience you have with the people and being traveling city to city and the experiences you have. And that's almost what I'd have more of the withdrawal from is that part of it. Because it means a real lot. I was really unfortunate. My flight back was at 10 o'clock at night when the Montreal second night was on, and I actually went for the
Ooh.
meetup beforehand with everyone. And I was in the bar and had drinks, and we all actually left at the same time. And we came out of the
Ooh.
bar, and everyone else turned left to go to the gig, and I went right to go and get the taxi to the airport. And it was like, wow, I've never been in this position before. But it wasn't so much about the show. It was to go with the people who I'd been having such a good time with, and I knew that we're all probably going to go to a party after it and stuff. So, it just felt bad missing out on that.
I mean, that is something, isn't it? I mean, that's just the act of, because you're just reminding me of just sort of echoing what you're saying, that a lot of it is just, it's this pilgrimage, right? So maybe you go to the bar before and I went into the line, or I'm always working, like I'm always at this point wanting to document my experience. But once upon a time, I was a girl that was told that I'm a negligent idiot for wanting to follow the Cure around, and I was like, well, why? And then I was like, maybe I am. And so I didn't go. I didn't see Disintegration in 1989 because I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna see the Cure. I'm gonna be an adult. And then I noticed that all the people that were making fun of me were going to the show.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So
very
yeah.
annoying.
So then I was like, why not live my life the way I want to live it? Because nobody's going to be next to me when I'm dead. Like when I'm at my grave, none of these people are going to be here. Only me.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is like, yeah, you had to go to the airport and go home. Um, and by the way, hi Vicky and John Bowers and Lorianne and oh my God, I hope I'm not missing anybody. Um, and it is hard because your tribe is like moving forward in the pilgrimage, and
yeah.
even when the pilgrimage sucks, like there's times when I'm like, you know forget it. I'm tired, or like I've talked on this, in this time of the internet thing for me is a curse and a blessing. I find a lot of cowards can hide behind the lines, so sometimes I'm like, forget it, I'm just gonna like garden and watch Chernobyl and movies and David Lynch movies over and over again. But then I go to the gig and it's like that first, okay, so the first show in New Orleans was so special for a number of reasons. One, it's the first show, just like I'm sure Rigo was. Two, it was New Orleans, which is just a different place than LA, New York, whatever. And there was this kind of innocence in the air to the tour, which is natural at any beginning of the tour, you know. And I feel like I'm a very like visceral, like I'm very cognizant to vibes, and same thing. Like the Twilight Sad starts, and I was a little off, so I had to go like get my water and get my thing, and I got to my chair. But as soon as the rain started and the lights went down and I heard Alone, I was like, I'm home.
Yeah.
And if you think about Alone and End Song, like for me, End Song is the song. Alone didn't exist in my world a year ago. So how fascinating is that this song now is part of this feeling of being at home.
Yeah, it's a funny song. It makes you feel at home because the content's quite. It's not a happy song, like so. It's basically everyone dies, everyone forgets everything. You end up alone. So if that's
Right,
what
but
makes you feel at home, this is a weird song to make you feel at home.
no, but it's just
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I'm joking,
the
but
act of witness. I mean, it's like I was thinking about this too. Like somebody said earlier that they have the holy grail of all posters, which is the Cure in orange, and I started thinking like, why do we all care so much about the Cure in orange? I mean, not that I love the Cure in orange, but we weren't there, right?
yeah.
So that's a different feeling than when you're at you're part of the experience of now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I only bought one poster on the tour, and that was Riga, because that'll mean a lot to me because it was just similar to what New Orleans. There was a real excitement around. You were walking around the town. I was walking around with Emma and Jojo and a few others, and we kept bumping into people, and everyone was really kind of excited because you had no idea what was going to happen in the evening. And it was my 50th birthday, and I was talking to some woman as well online. It was her 50th birthday as well. And then, fast forward a while later, I'm going to Chicago and Ohio with Lainey because we're born on exactly the same day. But yeah, just the Riga poster will mean more to me just because that night was incredible and it was my 50th and the day was incredible and the whole trip was incredible. I'd rather have that than a Cure in Orange poster probably. Well, I would be more likely to put it on the wall. It's true
Yeah,
though. For me, it's all about experience. So,
totally,
I
totally,
mean,
and
like
that
I'd love a 1989 Dublin RDS Simmons Court Pavilion poster, but I'm not going to get one of those. I don't think. I'm not sure any exist anymore. But
Eloisa says, hi, South America fans. Hi, everyone. Ceciliana says, I was scared of the new songs, like meeting new family members. That's funny. It's true. It's like, I thought about that. I was like, oh, what if I don't like the songs? And I have to say, some of the songs, like A Fragile Thing, I was like, okay. I wasn't so thrilled about it, but now I super dig it. And I think it's like this ritual of like, if you love a band, if you love any art, any art at all, like I feel like it's part of your part in it is to give it a few listens before you're like, I hate that song, I love that song, I hate that art, I love it. You might need to return to it because some songs, just like some art, it takes time to grow on you, or maybe you'll just never like that song.
true. My dad always said like the best songs he liked were the ones he probably didn't like on the first 2 or 3 listens, but he was quite obsessional. Like, he was quite obsessional about music, and he used to listen to albums. I think if you used to save up and buy an album years ago, you probably would give it a lot more chance than people are doing these days. But we're obviously big fans. So when you talk about things like Alone or End Song or Fragile Thing or whatever else, obviously we're going to listen to it and on repeat for quite some time. So if there is something in there, you will find it.
Yeah. Somebody asks, I want to know the difference between the audience in the EU and the US. I personally, and I'll be curious to see what you have to say, Colm. I'm much enjoy. I enjoyed the European audiences much more. The reason being, for me, because of the pit, because I could be surrounded by a bunch of people that were very excited to be there and very committed to the situation. So in anything I do, I like to be committed. Like I don't, I'm a, I'm, you know, I'm not really like if I'm gonna go fucking follow the Cure around and spend thousands of dollars, like I want to be in it 100%, and it's easier for me to get there and not think about like, oh, what am I gonna eat for dinner tomorrow, and what did I say to that person, and like, or whatever. Be fully in it if I'm surrounded by more people feeling the same way, and
Yeah.
and so. Oh God, I gotta delete a comment. So I felt like, for me, I look at the audience a lot. I observe the audience a lot, and it was easier for me to see the differences between the towns in Europe because Europe is, and the UK. There's a lot of differences. For example, Strasbourg to Basel. I think they were. I can't remember if it was one day after another. Um, But they were so different. The people in Strasbourg were very older. They were older and chiseled. And
Hmm.
there were a lot of men and a lot of like very just kind of grizzled people.
Sounds
But
similar to
back,
Leipzig. Yeah.
huh?
It sounds similar to Leipzig. We went to Leipzig, and everyone was suddenly these sort of rockers who looked very, very. There was a real whiff of testosterone around, and sort of these big guys with beards, kind of like pounding around, which was a real difference from Hamburg. So yeah, I guess that's what you're saying. City to city, not too far away, and a completely different crowd. I think the Hamburg crowd was quite young, loads of
Mm.
youngsters and stuff. But I guess that's what you get going into the old East Germany as well. I don't want to say the wrong thing around that, but it definitely was a very different sort of crowd.
Yeah, and then the Basel show was young kids, like super vibrant, like jumping, leaping into the air. And the show went on afterwards, and everybody's drinking beer. It was just like a completely different experience. And I would say that overall, between Europe 2022 and America 2023, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what you're looking at, the thing that kind of broke my heart about America is that there's a huge jock vibe now. There's a
Hmm.
huge knuckle dragon, like meathead. I'm eating pizza at the show. I'm eating popcorn, and then this whole Ticketmaster debacle, and what it rooted down to, which I didn't like as much. In Europe, I could find the people, even if they were new fans, I could find the people that saw The Cure as a band, as a whole entire band. In
Yeah.
America, it was Robert Smith and Robert Smith only to a lot of people, which is fine. He's the lead singer. It's but the one thing I've always loved about The Cure is that they're a band, and that even when Robert Smith is speaking, like in years ago when he used to do a lot of interviews, it was always about the band as a whole.
Yeah.
And I miss that, and I feel like there was this, the media attention was great, and it's like I'm so happy for the band to be so popular and all the things, but I'm unpacking it, I have to say.
No, there's a lot of similarities because I remember was it the second night at Wembley we were stood there and suddenly all these people barged in and they'd either taken a load of drugs or way too much drink. But I think it was whatever night playing song came on, and they all went wild and started singing the guitar parts and shouting and up and down like that. And I was just like, Jesus, I need to get away from these people. It wasn't the right response. But luckily, the good thing about Europe is you could just go and walk over there.
Yeah.
Whereas in Chicago, on the first night there, I was up and I was dancing, and a woman just that way behind me started throwing ice cubes at my head, and I think I ended up catching one after she hit me in the head the first time. I threw it back at her. I was kind of like, "What was wrong?" Well, we can't see, you're in the way. I was like, everyone behind me was stood up. Everyone to the left of me was stood up. But in the couple of rows to the right, people weren't. It wasn't that I was blocking people, it was people bigger than me behind me and stuff. But I couldn't get away. I ended up having to go and stand in the doorway, or whatever you call it, out of the arena for the encore because I just had enough of it. And I ended up dancing with her husband, which was quite weird. But we were pogoing to 10:15 and killing an Arab in Chicago. It's not the ending of the night I was expecting after what had happened before. But it's difficult to think about the differences because I think a lot of the people in Europe are still coming to hear the greatest hits, and they don't know everything either. But I think you're probably right. There probably is a bit more in America of that sort of popcorn munching, entertain me with the hits sort of thing. But
But it wasn't always, here's the thing, is it wasn't always like that. And I have to also, here's the other thing about social media now is you say one thing and it's like plastered all over the place and that's you forever and ever and ever. It's not like, of course there's going to be people that only know the pop songs because that's your, like Friday I'm in Love, I'm sure that somebody enlightened me to the reason why Friday I'm in Love is so popular is because of TikTok. So apparently it's become like a meme, sort of like Love Will Tear Us Apart. So of course these kids and maybe adults, only know Friday I'm in Love, and that's fine. However, I watch the audience, and I'm a big audience watcher, and I see the young kids like, some of them are like, wow, like absorbing it all like I did one time, long ago when I didn't know that song and I didn't know this song. We're not going to all walk in knowing every single song, and that's, you don't want that. You want variety. But in 2023, in the post-COVID world, in the social media world, in the I'm charging 5 million gazillion pachillion dollars world, and everything's expensive, and the climate is burning, and people are, people don't talk to each other as much like when we're having these discussions. I felt like there were more people there to just say, I've seen The Cure.
yeah, but I don't know. I get that a lot here as well. I go to shows and people are on their phones and shouting about where they are rather than actually being watching what's going on. So I don't know. I think it does happen everywhere. Um, really love the US and Canadian shows. So apart from Canada, after that, everyone around us was great. I mean, like where was it? Detroit. At the end of the show, instead of having someone throwing an ice cube at you at the end of the show, the people behind us came up to Stuart and said, "Just want to say we loved the fact that you three were having such a good time all night and just like having a ball." And that was great. I mean, that was the kind of attitude of the people around me that I was seeing. But we were quite lucky to get up near the front for a lot of the shows, and luckily the majority of the people around us were all intent on having a good time. So
Yeah, like the Miami, I'm so happy that I went to Miami because the Miami crowd, they were so into it. There was a point where I had tickets up to the right, but then I bought two tickets because I'm a dum dum, and I was like, okay, I'll take fifth row, and whatever. So my friends were up here, and I ended up actually standing with Bub in fifth row. And I mean, we were dancing in the aisles, and people were like slowly coming up and dancing. It was so fun. It was so exuberant. and happy. And I could see again people like this person in the crowd that sure they were on their phone, but then there was other persons that were like, oh, this is just the energy was there, and it was a very
Yeah.
fun way to end the American tour. And I'm glad I didn't end it in like I can't remember. Seattle was weird. I don't know. Maybe it was just me too. It's like the other thing you got to face as a fan is like maybe you're just having maybe I was just having a bad day.
Right. How many people did Chicago hold? 22,000. I could have been. I was in one bit, surrounded by a few people. All around you. It's different people. It's really potluck who you're sat near. But it was the same as Montreal. The night I went as well. The audience was off the scale. Everyone was so excited, and there's so much energy coming from the audience to the band and going back and forth and stuff. That's great. Really lucky to have been there. I could, you know what? I couldn't even tell you what the set list was. I used to put so much kind of onus on what set list would bring out, but it didn't matter for a lot of those shows because the energy between the audience and the band and back, that's all that really mattered. I was speaking to somebody this morning actually because I did a post because it was 5 years since Hyde Park yesterday. And he messaged me, went, oh, what a lame set list that was. I said, well, he said it wasn't for real fans or something. I said, I don't know what you mean, because it was the 40th anniversary, 65,000 people. What do you want them to play? And it didn't really matter because of that occasion, because everyone was so hyped up and the band were hyped up. You couldn't have gone wrong that day. It was just incredible.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up Hyde Park because I did want to talk about that because I, one of the things that about your, on this day, the Cure account, I'm like, oh yeah, that was like 5 years ago. How was that 5 years ago?
I know.
And Colm, I have to tell you, did you go to the Meltdown festival?
I couldn't. This is why I'm wary booking holidays when the Cure are touring. For Meltdown, went with a friend to Vancouver to run the Vancouver half marathon. So I remember finishing the half marathon and going back to our Airbnb and listening to an audio live stream from the show, and just heard the end of it. So I was really gutted. I went to some of the Meltdown gigs before I went, but I missed the Cure.
So that was a point in time in 2018 when Carl Tapia and I had met in 2016, and he lived up in Connecticut and I lived in New York, and then we would do these little adventures together, and we went to see the Cure. We were like, can we do this? Like we went on like WoW Airlines, which was like the worst airlines that's already bankrupt. And and so what was interesting about Meltdown is that we had tickets. It was sort of like this year. We had tickets over here. For some reason, Carl went to the box office. He's like, I just bought front row center. Do you want to get them and try to sell our others? And I was like, yes. So we got front row center somehow at Meltdown. And it was beautiful, and the songs were great. Everything about the band and how they played was excellent. But I was in a weird space. I was like, is this my last Cure show? Because I'm feeling kind of distracted. Like I should be so into it, and I was kind of, something was off. But it wasn't them, it was me. And then in Hyde Park, 3 weeks later, it was hot. You know that they're going to play the hits, but the vibes and the energy was off the charts. It was, I was weeping like a baby. We were huddled. Like my friend Hugh was so hot that he had to like sit down on the floor, and we were fanning him, and like there's Aaron, there's that person, and there's that other person I don't know, but I've seen them for 100 years, and there's somebody with a cool outfit. And the spirit of Hyde Park, I'm actually getting chills right now thinking about it.
I wish I had got chills at the time because it was so hot, but it was an incredible day. We spent the majority of the day in one of the bars at the very back because there was shade. I've got Irish skin. There's no way I could have survived that day. I think we watched Slowdive and then sat in the bar until the Cure came on, because you got there early enough, so you got the wristband to go into the Golden Circle, and we knew we could get down there again. And then the show was just out of this world. If you looked at the set list, you might go, it's pretty much a typical festival set list with grinding halt and stuff thrown in. But you're right. The whole day was just incredible. Everyone was just, this is going to be brilliant, and it was.
Yeah. And that's the thing I love about music. In any it could happen in any band, in any genre, anywhere. Is if the audience and the band, you know, are in it together, it's like what Jarvis Cocker says. It's more than the sum of its parts. It's like, this is never going to happen again. We're never going to be in this place. You know, it's so incredible. And at the end, when Robert said something like, you know, if you asked me 40 years ago if I'd be doing this now, I'd say hell no and thank you so much. And it felt like a real, I mean, I didn't think I'd be doing it for this long, you know. It was so beautiful.
Yeah. If you had asked me when I was 19, I think I'd still be traveling around going to gigs age 50, I'd be like, no way. But here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Leanie, no. Michelle says, I was so scared for all the people getting overheated. And then somebody says, I'm Irish and Scottish. So we're talking about dealing with the heat, man, which is a thing. Here's a totally left field comment. Do you guys know what Saturday Night Fever is?
Other than the soundtrack and film? Is it something different?
Yeah, so the reason why they called it Saturday Night Fever is because in New York City, where it gets humid and hot and crazy in the summer,
yeah,
they noted, and it has been noted worldwide, that more crime, more insanity, more crazy happens in the heat. So Saturday Night Fever referred to the hospital workers are like, oh, it's Saturday night. We're going to get people fucking shooting each other and fighting and losing their minds. And so, yeah, the heat is definitely a thing. But one thing I wanted to ask you is, what was your first Cure gig?
Yeah, that was RDS Simmons Court Pavilion in Dublin on Saturday the 15th of July 1989. Yeah, it's kind of something you never forget. It was my first ever gig.
Really?
Yeah, I was supposed to go and see the La's in Belfast, but my mum wouldn't let me go because I had my French oral exam. So I couldn't go to that, so it ended up being the Cure. So actually, I missed Shelley Ann Orphan because we had to get a bus down from Belfast. But we saw All About Eve, who played that day as well. So All About Eve are actually the first band I ever saw, really. But then it was followed by the Cure. And it was, again, I think the theme of this calls about heat. It was a really hot July night. And I'd never been to a show before, so I really didn't know what to expect. And I just remember getting closer and closer to the stage, and all the Cure heads in Dublin and Southern Irish Cure heads and stuff. It was just so much hairspray and backcombing, and in the heat, it was all melting, and everyone's eyes were stinging.
Let me pause you for a second because I think the Cure head thing is important. And somebody's saying, somebody's asking who we're interviewing, and this is Colm, who does On This Day the Cure. So he has this great Instagram account that gives history to the Cure, and also did a lot of live streaming. But now you're talking about your first Cure show in 1989 in Belfast, right?
Oh, Dublin.
Sorry, I mean Dublin. Like I said, Dublin. And you're talking about Cure heads. So what is it? What is a Cure head?
It's what I mean, like you're a Cure fan documentary, and you like to you like to talk about what the fans in different places were. I know you're interested in that. In Ireland, people termed themselves Cure heads, especially in Southern Ireland. And in fact, I think if you go on YouTube and you type in Cure heads Dublin 1989, 1990, There's a document or like a news clip or something off them. It's really funny just asking people around Dublin about why they're dressing that way and what they're into and stuff. In fact, I've meant to post it at some point, but I've never got around yet. So yeah, it's just a youth tribe at the time in Ireland. It called themselves Cureheads, which was probably golf light or something as a youth term, but at the time.
I know what video you're talking about, and I love it. And I've tried to look for cure heads very specifically. But what's interesting to me is the origin story that I didn't realize that it was linked to Ireland. So that's new to me. And
I think it is. I mean, it's where I grew up, so it's just what I was familiar with at the time, and I hadn't heard it anywhere else until many years later. So it could have sprung up in different places as well. But there's people who write about that gig. In fact, they played two gigs. They played the 16th of July as well. But there was no way my mum was going to let me go to two nights. She only let me go because my sisters brought me to that one. But there's stuff written about it, and the people who write about it, they talk about the cure heads in Dublin that day, and you can see them everywhere, and people were getting excited and stuff. And there's a few photos on the internet of people in town and meeting the cure outside the hotel and stuff. But yeah, that's the only time I've heard the term cure head was in Ireland. But
so were you familiar with the term cure head before you saw the cure?
no, not really. But Belfast is quite different than Dublin, so it didn't really exist there so much. I think I need to ask people. I can't remember if people were called cure heads or not, but I just associate it with Dublin. It may have been Belfast. I'll have to ask.
So what do you think? So you see the Cure in 1989. It's your first gig. What happened? Like what? How much of you continuing on is the Cure, or the fact that it was your first gig, or you were in a good mood and you made some good French fries? Like what?
What happened? What happened was he announced the tour, and I remember getting hot press and seeing they were playing in Dublin for the one night, the 15th. I think I had to persuade my mum to let me go, and my sister basically went down on the bus with me. My sisters both loved the Cure as well. That's how I got into the Cure, because they're both older than me. And when I was off sick from school, I remember going through their records, and I think putting on Catch. I think it was the first time I started getting back at or really into them when I was off sick. Because I remember it was listening to the Cult before that. I was like, not so into that. And then I put Catch on. I was like, my God, this is great. So yeah, I was heavily obsessed by them very quickly, and painted the tour dates and stuff on my wardrobe. I was really excited by it. Down to Dublin, as I said, all about Eve, into the gig, and just ended up getting closer and closer to the stage. And there was so much melting hairspray everywhere that my eyes were streaming, and everyone else was just a hot mess, a hot mess of melting hairdos, etc. I never had a backcombed hair or anything like that, but I think I had enough on my hair that night from everybody else. I just remember moving towards Simon's side of the stage and getting closer and closer and shouting Simon and Simon over and over again. I think at one point you looked down at me and went, "What?" And I was like, "Simon." Had nothing else to say, but that was incredible. I still think it was the best gig I've ever been to. Nothing beat that day and night.
That's great. I mean, I love the visual of, first of all, it being 1989. In Dublin, which I've technically never been to. I went to Malahide, and that doesn't really count. So, in a lifetime ago, but then seeing like all the Cure heads with the melted makeup and the hair, because you take so much effort to do it, and then you're sweating like a dog. And I love the image of you running up to the front too. I did that at my first Cure show in 1986.
Yeah.
it's kind of what I mean. I kind of wish, like, again, it's a different era, and every era is great, and every old, I got to be careful because every old person's like, it's just not like the old days, you know. Like, you got to be careful. But
Yeah,
I mean, like, running into the front, like, of whatever show is so fun. It's just like you just want to like jump into the sound, right? You just want
yeah.
to get like in it. Um,
And I guess the Prayer Tour was the first time they had a proper stage set up and like a impactful thing. They had the three things going like that behind the stage. You had all the grey sort of coverings for everything. The borrowed Prince's lighting rig, so they had this incredible lighting show for it and stuff. So for a first gig, it really was wow, you know, jaw dropping. And you had Faith at the end. Well, you had every song from Disintegration pretty much. I don't think they played a love song. Can't remember, but I think it was every song apart from Love Song, and then ended the night on Faith as well.
I'm
And
impressed.
every Faith in '89 is brilliant, like so.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I wasn't there. No, I mean, I know about it, but yeah, that was a hard life lesson to me. Like, I missed Disintegration because I was worried about what other
I
people.
miss Trilogy because of no money. So we all have these things we miss. But.
Well, no money is a good excuse. Not doing something because your peers are pressuring you to not be so into, to not be passionate. Like, I swear to God,
Yeah,
it's been a life changing event for me. Like, I will never relent on my passion for anybody ever again. Because why do you care? Like, why does anybody care? Like, if somebody's like super into stamp collecting, I don't care. Do it. Have fun.
yeah.
You want to wait 12 hours to see him? I was in the movie business. I would never wait 12 hours to see a movie that I could see 2 hours later. But some people do it. And if they want to do it, great.
Yeah, when you're younger, you just worry too much about other people's opinion, and as you get older, you just think, as you say, just do what you want to do. Do what makes you happy, as long as it doesn't impact on other people.
Exactly. So what's in the cards? Uh, we're getting close to the hour, and I don't want to eat up all your time. But oh wait, somebody says, speaking of old people, it seems as though there's boomers. There are boomers not into the Cure, and the older Gen Xers like actually. Wait, what? Oh wait. It seems as though their boomers are not into the Cure, and that older Gen Xers like me are actually at the upper range. I don't know about that, Kate, and I'll tell you why. Because I do watch the audience so much. I mean, I understand why you're saying that, and if you think about the Cure coming out in 79, 78, 79, 80, etc. They're boomers, right? Technically, the Cure are boomer age, but they're of the late. They're like the post World War, born in whatever year they were born in, which is more like super early Gen Xers. But I've seen 80-year-olds
My mom,
seriously
my
rocking
mom
out
was
of
at
the
the
Cure.
Belfast show. She's 80, so
Yeah.
she's 80, and she still dances around the house. The Cure, you know, very energetic. My dad loves the Cure as well. He just sits there and just dances around the living room, like singing along.
Leanie says it sucks that happened to you over the Cure, Risha. Too many people don't want us to have fun. So I think what it is, I think when people in life try to dampen your fun, it's because, and that's something that's going to be addressed in the documentary, is like, I think that when people see you having joy and they're not allowing themselves to have joy, they get mad. And maybe they don't identify what's going on inside of them at first, right? Because it's not like we're running for president. It's not like we're doing our own thing in our own little corner. So if you don't like it, you don't need to just go away. But when people target someone else's joy like that, I think it's an envy of when somebody sees something in you and they can't identify, like, what is that? I don't have it and I want it. When all it is really, to me, is asking yourself every single day, when you can, like, do I want to do this today? What's going to bring me happiness today? Because people can fall out of love with the cure or anything that they, anything, and that's fine too.
Of
So my
course, yeah.
question to you, Colm, is what's in the future as far as cure gigs for you?
There's nothing in the future as far as cure gigs go for me. I know they missed out Portugal the last time, and they said they were. Someone said they were going to make up for that. I can't remember where it was said. So the fact that they came and are doing Riot Fest in Chicago gives me hope that they will do something else in Europe. America was great. It cost a lot of money. I'm still paying for it, and I looked into Peru, which was kind of doable, but then it was such a gap until the next gig. It felt like a long time to wait. And it's a pity because Jojo was going. Jojo's one of my favorite people on this planet. And the reason I chose the run of shows from Chicago onwards was because it was going to be me and him doing it. But because of some daft reason, he couldn't get a visa in time. So it would have been really nice to go to South America with him. But I don't have much holiday left. He's going to be over there for a few weeks. It just didn't work out. So hopefully there'll be some European gigs. I'm going back to Chicago. I liked it so much that we went to see the Chameleons last weekend, and there's so many gigs in London last weekend. I know Pulp played Finsbury Park.
Wait, you saw Pulp?
No, I didn't. Everybody went to see Pulp. I didn't. I went to see the
Ah, I
Chameleons.
want to see Pulp so bad.
I've seen Pulp before. I've never seen the Chameleons. So we went to see the Chameleons, and it was so good. And then the next morning, my girlfriend Emma said, "I see they're playing Chicago on your birthday." Okay. And we had one flight voucher left. We could get a cheap return. So we're going over to Chicago to see the Chameleons. So that's my next big sort of gig adventure. And then I guess just hope that they'll play the Royal Albert Hall, or they'll do Christmas gigs, or they'll do something, or they'll do an album launch if this album ever actually happens, you know. And what about you? You said you were wavering on ever seeing them again, so
Well, financially, I'm screwed for a while. Like, it's just I'm the next thing on my concert horizon is Nick Cave, which is very close to my Cure fanaticism. I've seen Nick Cave a lot. I'm gonna go to Chicago to see Nick Cave, and I'm gonna see Nick Cave here. And Nick Cave, I cannot recommend enough. He does this thing called the Red Hand Files right now, which I won't get into because we're talking about the Cure. But I've seen the Chameleons. I love the Chameleons. I think you're gonna have a great time in Chicago. But if I had not already bought those tickets to see Nick Cave, I would, like, I have to cut myself off. And then also I just need I need some distance. I need I want to focus on the documentary, which means money towards that, which is sort of a thing, like, there's like money in a little pot that's for the documentary. That's not Arusha pay rent money, right? That's its
yeah.
own entity. And then there's this stuff which I kind of do for free, but I'm also trying to not. I'm trying to value myself as a creative and say, like, it's okay to say, like, hey, if anyone wants to support these silly things that I do, I don't know. So I'm not going to any of the South America shows. I would love to, though, because I feel like the opportunity to see the Cure play in South America is going to be so incredibly special.
Yeah.
Colombia, Lima, Chile, Brazil. I mean, it, the Latin cultures are so warm and wonderful and lovely that I just want to be there to be surrounded by love in a way. Like I just there was a lot of people from South America. There's a guy named Franco who came from Argentina who was just fucking fantastic. Like solo lone wolf following the Cure, just doing his thing. If they go to London and have fun, and I gotta wait. I gotta wait till I get money. So I don't know. I mean, I always say I'm gonna stop going because it's like I've seen them a lot, and I love them so much, and they will always be. It's overwhelming, actually, how much a part of my life, and I'm sure I echo this for a ton of people. It's overwhelming when, like, I had a friend. I was sitting next to my friend in Miami, and she started crying during Plain Song, and I said, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "I just can't believe this might be it for me. Like, I can't believe how long
Yeah.
it's been. I can't believe, even if it's by her own choice, because she's a mom and she's got a life to lead, and like we all bills to pay and health issues and adult things." Um, I have this quote actually that I was gonna pull. It's from here. Hold on, let me get this book. 1 second. Um, Colm, are you a Nick Cave fan at all?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, so, oh, what is that? Is that the Sick Bag song?
Yeah, I've got a bad elbow, but they're just right next to me. But I've got more, I'm sure, around. But they're the two things next to me. So yeah.
So I saw Warren Ellis play. Who, for those who don't know, he wrote this book called Nina Simone's Gum. So what's great about this is that basically, I mean, there's a lot in this book, but the short, what he did is Nina Simone played at the Nick Cave Meltdown in 1999, and Warren saved a piece of gum that she stuck on the piano, right? So some people are like, "What are you, psychotic? Like you're taking her fucking piece of gum?" But he talks about how this little thing, an object that can mean nothing, can be elevated into high honor, just like a pick from The Cure or whatever. And so I saw him speak, and he says, music and film and all of these things can change you forever if you let them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so I had to write it down as he said it, because it's like, if you let the power of music change and transcend and transform you, it will. And that, my friend, is what we all have in common.
Yeah, no, you're right. I also would have loved to see Nina Simone that night. She's an example of someone who had that power way into an older age. I mean, like I know Roger. I remember him posting at the last Wembley shows that it was going to be his last time ever playing there. So I know they've always said things are near the end, but things surely must be near the end. And you know what? If this is the Cure that they're going out on, that's a brilliant way to go, because I think I'd like to remember them being this strong and this powerful a band, and not maybe going to see them in another 5 years and going, oh, it's not quite how they were in 22 and 23. So I don't know. It's being torn between agreeing when you should know when to stop, and maybe they know that there's a lot left in them. They can go a lot longer, but I don't know. I'd almost be content in a way if they stopped soon after now, because they're so good right now, and they may not be that good forever. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of great comments coming in, but it's happening so fast I can't keep up. But I'm going to wrap this up because we've been on for an hour. But I will say that I will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, with Magali. I think she lives in. She's French, but I think. Do you know Magali? Colm?
I don't.
She's French, but she lives in. I want to say she lives in London, and she's a huge Sad fan. So we're gonna bend the conversation. We're gonna continue talking about the highs and lows, but I want to sort of get into. I want to talk to somebody who's really into the sad, and she is. And I don't know if she found them through the Cure or not, or blah, blah, blah. But I really admire their gratitude. Like whether or not you're into their music, you can't. Their gratitude is unmatched. I mean, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk tomorrow. So everybody who's on today, if you want to talk again tomorrow, 8:15. Where's my prop? Um, somebody talked about the links to my stuff. I'll include that somewhere. I'll put it in the YouTube and the Facebook of how you can donate to push the Cure Fan documentary. Is going to be an hour and a half movie that I have producers working with. We're working on, because we have to raise money. Like we have to pay an editor $300 a day, music licensing and whatever. But this stuff that I do, I want to continue doing it, and I want to talk about Nina Simone, and I want to talk about the Chameleons, and I want to just keep talking about music. So yeah, I want to take maybe a couple pennies. I don't know. I hate asking for money, but Colm, you were on the cover of Rolling Stones.
No, not quite, but yeah.
But
That was
no,
really good fun. I enjoyed chatting though, so that's been.
it's been
And
so
I,
great. A year ago, we didn't know each other. We knew each other through the socials, and we're like, "Hey, I like what you do," and "Hey, I like what
yeah,
you do," and now we've been to bars together, and we own the same
yeah.
books, and we have the same. We have some friends, and see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Enjoy your night, everybody. Be kind while there's still time.
Bye.